So let's start with these. These are definitely on your quiz. So these are called log equations. There's two different types of log equations. Some of them are exponentials with like the squirrel in the tree, and some of them have logs in them already. So we need to make sure that we understand that there's two different types, and we also need to make sure that we check our solutions on these. So step one, the first thing you do is figure out the operation. So put a little arrow right there. That's always step one. And to remind you from before your 9 days off, subtraction in a log equation is division. So we're going to condense these into one log. So that's why we learned about the condensing. So I condensed these two logs into one log, and because it's subtraction, I divided them. The first thing on top, the second thing on the bottom. Do you see where all the stuff went? Okay, now step two on all of these is you need to decide if it's a Guinan circle problem or if it's a cross out problem. This one is a Guinan circle problem, and the reason is because there's no log over here for me to cross out. Okay, what's 4 to the third? 64? Anybody remember from before break? 4 to the third? 64? Anyone? Okay, and then what I like to do is put the 64 over 1 and cross multiply. So 1 times x minus 5 is x minus 5. 64 times 3 is something. Okay, now, if I were you, I would make yourself get a calculator out, even if you don't want to. If you're just feeling that lazy, I would not do that at this moment. Oh, Mrs. Talbot, how could you? Okay, so we type in, so go math, log base 4, and then plug in the 197 right there. So 197 minus 5 minus math log base 4 of 3. So I typed in all of that side, and what am I hoping that it equals when I hit enter? 3. Do you see how I put the 197 in for x? And I'm hoping that this side equals 3 because this side is 3. Checked. And equaling 3 because of that 3 right there. Okay, now let's go over to number 12. I know it's weird that we're doing them like this, but I wanted to make sure that I represented both types before you started your quiz review. Okay, so step 1, find the operation. This operation is plus, which means multiplication. We're going to condense these two into one log. With multiplication. Okay, so on these problems, step one's always the same. Identify the operation. Step two, decide if it's a Guinan circle problem or a cross out. What do you think? Cross out. And the reason it's cross out is because there's log base fives on both sides. You see the difference between this one and this one? This one just had one. This one's got them on each side. Okay, now we're going to check them separately. Math, log base 5 of negative 25. Can you already see? Anybody already see the problem here? Do you remember speaking about this? They don't remember. It's fine. The student, because he put the wrong teacher. Yeah, she's right. Plus log base 5 of negative 25 plus 22. What's going to happen? Anybody remember? It's been a really hot minute. It's going to give you an error, and that's how you know that you have an extraneous solution. So you're going to cross this one out. Okay, now I'm a lazy human being, so I'm going to hit 2 for go to, and I'm going to change these negative 25s to 3s. Does it there right now? Does that look right to you? What? Delete? Oh, this DEL button, right? Okay, so what am I hoping that this will equal? Yeah, not 75, but log base 5 of 75. Voila. Okay, notebook time. Also, please get ready for AP art today. Oh, right here, AP art. No, we're just drawing triangles in our notebook, as I'm a funny lady. Oh, welcome to Geometry 2. Second half of chapter 7 is about geometry, except that it's easy. It's geometry that immediately becomes an algebra problem. First thing. I promise you it's not bad. I think it's actually easier than SOHCAHTOA. I'm not even joking. Um, because you don't actually have to think too much. It's it's just like formula, and I like formulas.
Is geometry gonna be on the quiz on it?
Yes, so there's gonna be a problem like number 77, 67, 67.
Seven.
67.
Mm.
But I promise you, I will help you get started on it, and it's not hard. I promise. Okay, starting with 63, this problem is extremely easy. What? 12. 12. Yes. Yes, it's 12. Okay, but we need to do a few things actually on this problem. So we're going to review a couple of things from geometry. 3 things. First, if you have a capital letter A, that is the corner of a triangle, we call that the vertex. A, right there, angle A. You label the side across with little a. So this is really important for the problems that we do in this chapter. The capital letter is always across from the lowercase letter. So capital B is here, so that means lowercase b will be here. And capital C is here, so lowercase c will be there. Okay, that's the first thing I want to review. And maybe that isn't even review, because I don't know if they like hammer that in math 2, but we need to know it for math 3. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is how to find x, and Connor's already there. It's called the triangle angle sum theorem. So we're going to go measure of angle B equals 180 minus 105 minus 63, which is 12. So all 3 add up to 180. 180 minus 105. Yeah.
You have to write all that. I like to use that as a big one.
That.
What?
What else did you do?
105 plus 62, which is 163 and minus 3.
That's perfect. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
This is measure of angle B. It means the degrees of angle B. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is I don't know what they call it in math 2, but I called it the French fry theorem because I used to teach math 2 back in the day. And the what it's saying is I think it's actually called the hinge theorem. The largest side has to be across from the biggest angle. So this means that this is the large side. The large side will be across from the biggest angle because it is the most open. Okay, and the medium side will be across from the medium angle. And the smallest side is across from the smallest angle. Now you can see why I called it the French fry theorem, because there's a large, medium, and small. And so we would say that A is greater than C. Actually, that should be, yeah, is greater than B. So large, medium, small. Okay, that's all I want to review from math 2 there. So how to get the angles in a triangle, how to label, and how to use reasonableness to decide if my side's answers make sense. Got it? Okay. Now AP art this situation. Okay, so let me introduce you to this triangle here. The goal of this problem is to find the area of this triangle. Do you guys know how to find the area of a triangle? Connor?
Length times width divided by height. Only. Based on height.
Base times height divided by 2. Okay. Get all the words, all the right words. Okay, so here's the base. Does that make sense to you guys? Here's the height divided by 2. We have any of those things? Negatory. Okay, the only thing we've got is this 4 and these angles here. And we're going to use SOHCAHTOA to kind of work our way around to get A, C, B, C. We're going to find X also because I'm going to show you something really cool in number 65. So anyway, okay, let's start with A. So I'm gonna just make this easier for you by doing this. Just look here. Which trig function do I need to solve for A? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Anyone else besides the one person? No, sine. It's sine. Can you tell opposite and hypotenuse? Can you see it? Okay. So right here, right, sine 42 degrees equals opposite over hypotenuse. And now make sure that your calculator's in degrees. Look up here, make sure that it says degree there. If not, hit the mode button and change it to degrees. Times 4 on both sides. And we're going to round to the tenths place. 2.7 equals A. Okay, so go on to your triangle. Label that 2.7. Okay, now only look at these two things. Which trig function should I use to solve for B? Cosine. Okay, now really quick. Why would I not use the 2.7 to solve for B? Why would that be a bad idea? Well, I can still use the 42. Does it make sense to you guys that you probably shouldn't use a rounded number in your next thing? Also, just in case if I got it wrong, you probably shouldn't use, okay. Okay, now this is going to kind of be not great since I just mentioned that. I need to find C, but the only number I have available is the 2.7. So I'm going to have to use a rounded number, which means that my answer is going to be a little rounded, but that's okay. It's the best I can do. Which trig function do I need to solve for C? Solve for C. I'm doing twister over here to try to help. Tangent. Remember, it's opposite over adjacent, and this time the 2.7 is on the top. And I believe we discussed this, and a lot of you guys just had it memorized to just divide instead of multiply. Yeah, but that was before break. I know, I know. Okay, almost done here. Which trig function should I use to solve for x? Okay, which one of these two decimals is better? This one's just rounded once. This one's rounded off the rounded. So I probably shouldn't use that one. Do you guys see what I'm saying? They get a little bit less accurate every time you round. So if I just looked at these, which would it be? Sine. Okay, last bit. So the area is going to be half base times height. Does it make sense to you guys that the base is 8.5? Can you tell? Because it's this whole thing. 5.5 plus 3. 5.5 plus 3. 8.5. And then the height is 2.7. So half base times height, or base times height divided by 2, same thing. 11.5-ish. That was a lot of work. I don't know if you felt like it was a lot of work, but I felt like it was a lot of work. Anyone else feel like that was a lot of work? Okay, now what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw me a little baby one of the same exact triangle. Just a little baby one, but notice it's the same thing. I just didn't cut it into two right triangles. And I didn't make it as big because I don't need to. I'm going to teach you something that is going to get you to X and the area immediately in one step. Does it make sense to you that because of the way triangles are created, they have to be proportional somehow? SOHCAHTOA is proportions, right? So believe it or not, all triangles are proportional. And I really wish they would just teach you this instead of SOHCAHTOA, but no, no. I'm going to teach you something called the law of sines. The law of sines works for every triangle. Doesn't have to be a right triangle. And what it is, it's the sine of one of the angles over the side across from it. Can you guys all tell that the x is across from the 42? Okay, equals the sine of another one of the angles over the side across from it. And if you want to, I would draw these little guys. Okay, cross multiply x times sine 26 equals 4 times sine 42. Always save the calculator till the very end with these. Okay, look at how much work it took us to get the same answer in the previous problem. Which one do you think is more accurate? The second one, because I didn't round anything, right? I mean, I rounded the very end. Okay, now I'm going to show you something called the side angle side area formula. Nope. Mm-mm. But you will need to identify like if a triangle has two sides and the angle between labeled. Okay, side angle side area formula says you can find the area of any triangle by doing 1/2 times 2 of the sides times the sine. Uh, that's my first whiteout. That's not too bad. Times the sine of the angle between. Okay, so give me one of the sides of this triangle. 4. Give me another side. Right, which is 6.1. And then what is the angle between them? So that would be this one here. How do I find that? Does anybody know what it's called? It's 112. It's called the triangle angle sum theorem. So 4 times 6.1 times sine 112 divided by 2, 11.3. Does 11.3 seem reasonable from our previous work? Up here? Yeah. Okay, so when talking about your quiz, the problem on the quiz is going to be this. You'll have a triangle. You have to set up the proportion, cross multiply. Do you think you can do that? No? Think you do it after we do the notes in a minute? Okay. Okay. We're going to write the law of sines down. I'm going to use the letters A and B. I need you guys to know that those can be any letters, okay? So let's write it down and then let's make sure. Okay, really important to me that you guys know that the capital letters are the angles. And you can tell because they have little degrees on them. And the lowercase ones are the ones across. Okay, so when you see this formula, what I want you to say in your head is sine of an angle over the side across equals sine of the angle over the side across. Okay, give me an angle in this triangle. Any one of them. 58. Okay. Sine 58 over, okay, what's across? X, beautiful. And you can make these little arrows if it helps you. Equals sine of another angle over the side across. It's not that hard, right? Not too bad. Okay, now cross multiply x times sine 24 equals 12 times sine 58. That x by itself. Okay, make yourself type this in the calculator just so you can make sure you know how it works. Okay, now I wrote the side angle, side area formula in letters, but I want you to know those letters can be anything. The letters don't matter. It's just that you need to know what the side times the side times the sine of the angle between those two sides. So that's what I mean by side angle side. It has to be like the angle between the two sides that you pick. Okay, so in our triangle here, area equals 1/2. Okay, give me one of the sides. 12. Give me another one of the sides. 25. Okay, and then what is the angle between these two? Isn't that a band or something? No? Nobody? 98 degrees? Okay, this is the end. We have one more to do. But then the last thing I want to do before you leave is remind you how to do the exponential asymptote things, like the Dr. Judgment policy that's on your quiz review. Like everything else we did today, but that. Okay, and get your calculator at the ready. Okay, give me an angle in this triangle. Any angle. Great. Sine of x. What side is across from x? 6. Okay, give me another angle in the triangle. 120. And that is across from the 11.3. Are you guys okay so far? Does that make sense? Okay. Do you notice this one's a little different because the x is in the degrees? Okay, so cross multiply. Okay, we want to get x by itself. We're going to divide by 11.3 first. Okay, and what we're going to do is sine inverse this thing. Do you guys remember sine inverse? It's how you get rid of sine. It's how you undo sine. Okay, so make yourself type that in. You guys know how to do it? Second sine. Okay, now can you, when you're done, quickly find the quiz review? Okay, starting at the top section. First three problems, what type of problems are these? I'm expecting you to think of some ridiculous. Squirrel in the tree problem. Squirrel in the tree problem. How do you get the squirrel out of the tree? Log both sides. Okay, this one right here, number one's ready to go. Number two is also ready to go, but you just have to be careful because the exponent is -4. This one, you're gonna have to divide by -4 on both sides before you log. You gotta get it look like that first. Okay, now scooch down to the next section. These are the ones we just did in the warm-ups. They have two steps. You decide about the operation and then decide if it's guidance circle or cross out. Do you know what I'm talking about? We just did them in the warm-ups. Look back at your warm-ups if you need to. Okay, now look at the back. Of each triangle means find all of the sides and angles. I'm going to help you get this one set up. This first one. Okay. Do you guys see the 86? So start with that. Go sine of 86 over what's across from the 86? 10, right? Okay. Now the other side we have is 5. What angle is across from the 5? B. So write sine of B. And do you see this turns right into one of the ones we just did in number 67? So you're going to have to do sine inverse. Do you see what I'm talking about? Okay, and if I were you, I would put a little A here. And on this one, I would put a little C here and a little B here. Okay, do you know where to go with these? Well, we just did. Okay. I know, it's new. Okay, last thing. This is the exponential through 2 points. You can do table method or um system method. Let's just do table. Let's just get it started for 1 minute. I know you guys are anxious to leave. I can see it. I'm sorry. Remember, the first step is to undo the asymptote. You see how I undid the asymptote with plus? Then I put my new things in the table with a spot for 0. Then I count the B's. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there.